In a bustling city filled with bright lights and endless opportunities, lived a man named David. David was in his late 20s, always dressed in sharp suits and carrying the latest gadgets. To the outside world, he seemed to have it all: an exciting job that paid well, a beautiful apartment, and a social life that sparkled with parties and events. However, beneath the surface of his glamorous life lay a deep struggle. Every day, David woke up early to chase success. He would rush to work, pouring every ounce of energy into climbing the corporate ladder. He believed that happiness was just one promotion away. Yet, as he climbed higher, an emptiness crept into his heart. The more money he earned, the less fulfilled he felt. He often found himself staying late at work while friends called him to join gatherings he had once loved. One evening, after another exhausting day at work, David sat alone in his apartment. Surrounded by luxury furniture and expensive items, he felt a profound sense of loneliness. As he glanced out the window at the city skyline glittering with wealth, he thought about his life choices. Is this really what I want? He wondered aloud. It was then that he remembered the words of Jesus, "You cannot serve both God and money." The conflict between seeking wealth and finding true happiness began to take shape in his mind. Around him were people who chased after riches but often forgot what truly mattered: relationships, peace of mind, and faith. He realized that many people in the city were like him, caught in a race that never seemed to end. David's thoughts spiraled back to his childhood when life was simpler. He remembered playing outside with friends instead of working late hours or worrying about promotions. In those moments of joy and connection, there was no focus on money, only laughter and shared experiences. As David stared out at the city lights flickering like stars in the night sky, something shifted within him. He understood that true happiness comes from serving God rather than money, a lesson waiting for him to embrace amidst all his struggles. With emotions rising inside him, David knew he had a choice to make: continue chasing after wealth or seek a deeper purpose in life. The struggle was real for him and countless others, one that would change everything if they chose faith over fortune. As David pondered his life, he recalled the powerful words of Jesus, "You cannot serve both God and money." This phrase resonated deeply within him, as he began to understand its significance. Jesus spoke these words during a time when people were often torn between material wealth and spiritual fulfillment. But even today, this message is just as relevant. In modern life, many of us face the same dilemma that David did. We live in a world that constantly pushes us to seek more money, more success, more possessions. It's easy to get caught up in the hustle and bustle, believing that happiness lies just out of reach, waiting at the finish line of our next big achievement. But what if true contentment isn't found in what we earn or own? David reflected on how these choices shaped his relationships. He noticed that when he prioritized work and money, he began to drift away from friends and family. The late nights at the office replaced laughter-filled dinners with loved ones, and soon he realized that chasing wealth led to isolation rather than joy. It seemed that every promotion brought him further from the connections that once filled his life with meaning. Jesus' teaching serves as a reminder that there are two paths: one leads to spiritual fulfillment, while the other often leads to loneliness and discontent. When we serve money, we put our hopes in temporary things that can vanish in an instant. Job losses, market crashes, and unforeseen events can turn our lives upside down. However, serving God offers a deep-rooted sense of purpose and peace that remains steadfast, no matter the circumstances around us. David began to see how his choices could reflect his values. He contemplated how he could align his actions with his heart's desire for connection, love, and faith. If he chose to serve God first, his pursuit of wealth would transform from a desperate need into a tool for doing good, helping others and building a community grounded in kindness. With this newfound understanding, David felt a spark of hope ignite within him. He realized he had the power to choose a different path, one rooted in faith rather than fear of missing out on material success. As he embraced this revelation, David knew it was time to act on these teachings and invite others on this journey toward a more fulfilling life. As David continued to reflect on his life and Jesus' teachings, he realized that understanding the biblical context behind the phrase, "You cannot serve both God and money," was essential for him. This powerful message comes from the Gospel of Matthew, specifically Matthew 6 verse 24, where Jesus spoke during the Sermon on the Mount. In this sermon, he addressed a crowd filled with people from various backgrounds, many of whom were struggling with the same dilemmas that David faced. During that time, society placed a heavy emphasis on wealth and possessions. people often measured their worth by what they owned rather than who they were. Jesus saw this trend and knew it could lead to spiritual emptiness. He emphasized that serving money could create a barrier between individuals and God, making it impossible to fully embrace his teachings and live a fulfilling life. Jesus taught that material wealth could be alluring but ultimately deceptive. He urged people to invest in treasures beyond this world, those of kindness, faith, and love. Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, he said, where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. Instead, he encouraged them to focus on heavenly treasures that bring eternal joy. David found wisdom in this teaching as he recognized that he had spent much of his life pursuing temporary gains. He thought about all the late nights at work and the sacrifices made for promotions, which left him feeling drained and disconnected from what truly mattered: his family, friends, and faith. The chase for wealth had filled his days with stress rather than peace. The more he learned about Jesus' message, the more he understood that faith offered a radically different approach to life. Jesus showed that when one's heart is aligned with God, it becomes easier to let go of the relentless pursuit of money. Instead, people can find fulfillment by serving others, sharing love, and nurturing relationships that reflect God's grace. David realized that true wealth doesn't come from what you possess but from how you love and care for others. With this newfound insight, he felt inspired not just to change his choices but also to spread this message to others who might also be trapped in the cycle of materialism. The journey toward serving God over money was not just personal, it was a call to help others find that same peace and fulfillment in their own lives. As David continued on his journey of self-discovery, he encountered someone whose story mirrored his own struggles. Her name was Sarah, a talented graphic designer in her 30s, living in the same vibrant city. To outsiders, Sarah appeared to be thriving, with an impressive portfolio and a growing reputation in her field. Yet beneath her confident exterior lurked the same internal conflict that David faced. Sarah was ambitious and determined to make a name for herself. Her office was filled with awards and accolades that celebrated her hard work and creativity. But the more she accomplished, the more she felt the weight of expectation pressing down on her shoulders. In her pursuit of success, Sarah often found herself working late into the night, taking on extra projects to impress clients and secure larger contracts. At first, she believed that achieving financial stability would bring her happiness. Once I land that big client, she thought, I'll finally feel fulfilled. However, as weeks turned into months, Sarah realized that each achievement left her feeling more empty than before. She spent fewer evenings with friends and family and more time alone at her desk surrounded by deadlines and digital screens. The turning point came one evening when Sarah received an email from a longtime friend inviting her to a reunion dinner. As she stared at the invitation, a wave of nostalgia washed over her. Memories flooded back of laughter shared during carefree moments spent with loved ones, times that now felt lost in the noise of her ambitions. With a heavy heart, Sarah declined the invitation, opting instead to work on yet another project. It was then that she heard a whisper within herself echoing Jesus' words, "You cannot serve both God and money." The realization struck her: in chasing wealth and professional recognition, she had been serving money at the expense of genuine connections that once brought her joy. Determined to turn things around, Sarah began to rethink her priorities. She started saying no to projects that drained her spirit and yes to opportunities that allowed her creativity to flourish while nurturing relationships with friends and family. Slowly but surely, as she focused on what mattered most, love, connection, and faith, she rediscovered a sense of purpose far richer than any paycheck could offer. Sarah's journey became an inspiration for David as he watched her transform from a woman trapped in materialism into someone who embraced life's deeper treasures. They both realized they could support one another in pursuing their true calling, serving God through love rather than chasing after fleeting success. This transformation sparked hope not just in themselves but also in those around them who witnessed their renewed passion for life based on meaningful relationships. As David and Sarah journeyed together, they began to reflect on key moments in their lives that highlighted the tension between spiritual values and material desires. One day, while having coffee at a cozy cafe, Sarah shared a pivotal experience from her past that mirrored many of Jesus' teachings. She recalled a time when she was offered an incredible opportunity, a lucrative contract with a high-profile client that promised to skyrocket her career. Excited by the potential for wealth and recognition, Sarah poured herself into the project, often sacrificing sleep and personal time to meet tight deadlines. As the weeks passed, however, she noticed an alarming shift within herself. The project, which had once excited her creatively, soon became a source of overwhelming stress. One evening, after working late into the night again, Sarah received a text from her younger brother asking if she could attend his birthday party. She hesitated but ultimately decided to decline yet again, prioritizing her work over family connections. Deep down, she felt a pang of guilt and sadness as she realized this pattern was becoming all too common. The material success she longed for was costing her the joy of being present in moments that truly mattered. That night, as she sat alone in her office surrounded by sketches and deadlines, she suddenly recalled Jesus' words about treasures in heaven versus those on earth. She realized that while she chased financial gains, her relationships were crumbling like sandcastles under the waves. This moment became a turning point for Sarah. It revealed how fleeting material desires could be when weighed against lasting joy found in love and connection. David had his own moment of clarity earlier in his career when he tirelessly worked weekends to earn a promotion that promised more money but less time with family. After months of being away from home, he returned one evening to find his parents celebrating his younger sister's graduation without him. The thrill of success fizzled as he watched others share cherished memories, ones he missed because he chose work over family. These experiences pushed both David and Sarah to rethink their priorities actively. They learned that true fulfillment stems not from accumulating wealth but from nurturing relationships and serving others. Every time they chose connections over material pursuits, they felt richer in spirit. Their journey together became not just about personal transformation but also about encouraging others around them to find balance in their lives between ambition and meaningful relationships, an echo of Jesus' teachings that resonated through their stories. They understood now more than ever the importance of serving God first and letting that guide their decisions moving forward. As David and Sarah continued their journey, they began to explore the deeper implications of serving money and the sacrifices it often demands. They realized that in their pursuit of wealth and success, they had unknowingly paid a steep price. Serving money means prioritizing financial gain above all else, often leading individuals to make choices that can have lasting consequences. For David, this meant working long hours, skipping family gatherings, and neglecting friendships that once brought him joy. He often found himself watching life pass him by as he chased after promotions and accolades, only to feel an aching emptiness when he finally achieved them. The excitement of a new car or a bigger paycheck quickly faded, revealing the hollowness of his pursuits. Similarly, Sarah shared her own struggles regarding the cost of serving money. She remembered countless nights spent at her desk, sacrificing her health and well-being for the sake of impressing clients and securing larger contracts. She became estranged from loved ones, missing out on birthdays, anniversaries, and special moments that could never be replaced. Each time she chose work over connection, she felt a part of herself dimming. The success she longed for was coming at the expense of her happiness and relationships. David reflected on how easy it was to fall into this trap. Television shows, social media, and societal pressures constantly reinforced the idea that wealth equated to success and happiness. But as he and Sarah talked, they recognized that serving money often leads to feelings of loneliness and dissatisfaction. People might find themselves surrounded by luxury but devoid of love, laughter, and meaningful connections. They pondered Jesus' teachings and how his message was not just about rejecting money entirely but rather finding balance. Jesus urged people to examine their hearts and motivations, reminding them that serving money can create barriers between them and God. By prioritizing wealth, they inadvertently distanced themselves from faith and the joy that comes from serving others. Through their discussions, David and Sarah came to understand that true fulfillment cannot be bought or earned through material success. It comes from nurturing relationships, sharing kindness, and placing trust in something greater than themselves. They learned that while money may provide temporary comfort, it cannot fill the void left by disconnection from God and loved ones. With this newfound perspective, they felt empowered to make choices that honored their values over the allure of monetary gain. David and Sarah knew the journey wouldn't be easy, but they were ready to embrace a path that reflected their commitment to love, faith, and genuine connection, transforming their lives in ways they never thought possible. As David and Sarah continued to discuss their experiences, they began to explore the idea of finding balance between earning a living and nurturing their spiritual lives. This concept felt crucial, especially since both had experienced the dangers of prioritizing money over meaningful connections. David shared how, during his intense work weeks, he had often lost sight of what truly mattered. Yet, he realized that earning a living was necessary. It provided for his needs and allowed him to contribute to his family and community. It's not about rejecting wealth altogether, he noted. It's about ensuring that the pursuit of wealth doesn't overshadow my values or my relationships." Sarah nodded in agreement. She recalled how her passion for graphic design initially brought her joy and fulfillment. It was a way to express her creativity while providing for herself. But as work pressures mounted, she found herself losing that spark and drifting away from what inspired her. "I want to pursue my career, but I don't want it to consume me," she said thoughtfully. Together, they reflected on how one can earn money without sacrificing their spiritual life or core values. They discussed setting clear boundaries, such as dedicating evenings to family or scheduling regular time for community service. These practices could help ensure that their careers did not take precedence over the relationships and faith that brought them true happiness. Moreover, they recognized the importance of aligning their work with their values. For instance, David started looking for opportunities within his job that allowed him to mentor younger colleagues or contribute to projects that sparked his interest in social impact. He discovered that by pursuing work aligned with his values, he didn't just earn a paycheck, he also nurtured a sense of purpose. Sarah also sought out clients whose missions resonated with her beliefs, allowing her to engage in projects that made a difference while building meaningful connections along the way. This shift transformed her attitude toward work from one of stress and obligation into one filled with excitement and fulfillment. As they talked, David and Sarah realized that balance was not just about managing time but also about making intentional choices that reflected their values. They understood that it was entirely possible to pursue financial success while still serving God and nurturing relationships. With this new perspective, both felt empowered to step into their futures with intention. They knew the road ahead would come with challenges, but by committing to balancing their careers with spiritual growth and meaningful connections, they could create lives filled with purpose, not just prosperity. This journey became not only a path toward personal fulfillment but also an opportunity to inspire others in finding balance in their own lives between financial ambitions and spiritual fulfillment. As David and Sarah continued their discussion about finding balance in their lives, they were inspired to look beyond their own experiences and explore the stories of others who exemplified the teachings of Jesus. These real-world examples highlighted how prioritizing spiritual goals over financial ones can lead to profound positive outcomes. One individual that came to mind was Mother Teresa. Known for her selfless service to the poor in Kolkata, India, she devoted her life to helping those in need, often at great personal cost. Despite numerous opportunities to gain fame and monetary rewards for her humanitarian efforts, she chose a path anchored in compassion and faith. Her dedication brought hope to countless lives and inspired millions around the world. Mother Teresa once said, "We cannot all do great things, but we can do small things with great love." This approach exemplifies living by spiritual values rather than seeking wealth. David and Sarah also found inspiration in the story of John Wesley, the founder of the Methodist movement. Wesley believed that earning money was important, but he famously preached that it should be acquired honestly and spent wisely. He lived modestly, using most of his income to support his charitable work and help those less fortunate. Wesley's life demonstrated that financial success could be pursued without compromising one's faith or sense of purpose. By prioritizing generosity and community service, he impacted thousands while remaining true to his values. Closer to home, they reflected on a friend named Mark, a teacher who decided to work at an underfunded school in a low-income neighborhood instead of taking a higher-paying position at a prestigious private institution. Though the financial reward was smaller, Mark found immense satisfaction in shaping young minds and providing guidance to students who needed it most. His choice illustrated how focusing on his spiritual calling, educating and uplifting others, brought him deeper happiness than any paycheck could offer. David and Sarah recognized that these powerful stories were not just tales of sacrifice but also examples of how adhering to one's values could lead to a richer, more meaningful life. They realized that when individuals live with integrity, prioritizing service and connection over wealth, they inspire others and create ripples of positive change in their communities. With these stories fresh in their minds, David and Sarah felt encouraged and motivated to continue their commitment to live by faith and love rather than merely financial ambition. They understood that while the world often glorifies material success, true fulfillment lies in nurturing relationships and serving a higher purpose. Inspired by these examples, they pledged to not only seek balance in their own lives but also uplift those around them to do the same, turning their journey into a beacon of hope for others navigating the same challenges. As David and Sarah continued their journey toward finding fulfillment in their lives, they began to discuss the vital role that community plays in supporting individuals to make choices that honor both God and a healthy relationship with money. They recognized that while personal commitment is essential, having a supportive community strengthens their resolve and motivates them to stay aligned with their values. David shared how powerful it was to engage with others who shared similar beliefs during his spiritual awakening. He recalled joining a local community group focused on living out their faith in practical ways. In this group, members would gather weekly to share stories, support each other's endeavors, and brainstorm ways to serve those in need. Being part of this group opened my eyes to how important collective action is, he said, a spark of enthusiasm in his voice. Sarah nodded in agreement, reflecting on her own experiences. She spoke about how her friends inspired her to stay true to her ideals, reminding her to focus on what truly mattered when the pressure to succeed loomed large. When I felt tempted to chase after higher-paying clients at the expense of my values, my friends helped ground me. They reminded me that our purpose is so much bigger than just financial gain, she explained. Together, they explored the idea that communities can not only sustain faith but also foster accountability. When faced with the temptation of prioritizing wealth over meaningful relationships, having friends who also seek spiritual fulfillment can help individuals stay on track. David said, "It's like we're all in this together." Having others who understand and support you makes it easier to make choices that align with serving God. Moreover, Sarah pointed out how community involvement goes hand in hand with nurturing a healthy relationship with money. Contributing time or resources to help those less fortunate not only brings joy but also puts personal wealth into perspective. When I volunteer at local shelters or mentor young designers, it reminds me that my skills and resources are meant for sharing, not hoarding, she said. As they reflected on this topic, both David and Sarah felt invigorated by the realization that community plays an indispensable role in maintaining balance between ambition and spiritual commitment. They understood that serving God is often best achieved within a framework of mutual support and encouragement. With this understanding, they resolved to strengthen their community ties. This journey would not just be about their individual paths, it would also involve helping others find balance in their lives. By cultivating connections rooted in faith and shared values, David and Sarah hoped to inspire positive changes that radiated beyond themselves, creating a ripple effect of love, service, and generosity throughout their networks. In recognizing the power of community, they embraced a beautiful truth: together, they could navigate life's challenges and celebrate each other's victories while honoring both God and meaningful relationships along the way. As David and Sarah concluded their inspiring conversation, they felt a wave of hope wash over them. They realized that their journey toward prioritizing God over money was just beginning, and they wanted to invite others on the path of reflection and change. "Now, it's our turn to think about how we can apply these lessons in our own lives," David said, his voice filled with determination. To all those listening, David encouraged viewers to take a moment to reflect. What choices are you making every day? Are they leading you closer to the life you truly want, or pushing you further away into the cycle of materialism? He urged people to consider their daily actions, whether it be how they allocate time, what goals they pursue, or how they interact with others. Sarah chimed in, reminding them that small changes can lead to significant results. "It doesn't have to be an overnight transformation," she said. "Start by assessing your priorities. Are your financial pursuits overshadowing your relationships? Are you sacrificing time with family for the sake of working late hours?" She emphasized the importance of recognizing when something feels out of alignment with one's values. Think about ways you can incorporate service into your life, David suggested. Whether it's volunteering at a local charity, helping a neighbor in need, or simply spending quality time with loved ones, each act serves as a reminder that true wealth emerges not from bank accounts but from genuine connections. Sarah added that sharing one's talents and resources can also create profound impacts in communities. She encouraged viewers to ask themselves how they might use their skills to uplift others. Reflect on what really brings joy into your life and how that joy can be shared, she said. In closing, David expressed a heartfelt plea: let us remember Jesus' words, "You cannot serve both God and money." This is our invitation to serve something greater than ourselves. He spoke passionately about choosing faith over fear and allowing love to guide decisions rather than profit. As they wrapped up their discussion, David and Sarah wanted everyone listening to feel empowered, that change is possible. They emphasized that seeking fulfillment through love, community, and spiritual growth could lead to extraordinary transformations in their lives. With sincere hearts, they encouraged viewers not only to reflect but also to act, keeping an open mind and heart toward living purposefully each day. Together, may we navigate this journey and inspire one another toward fulfilling lives rooted in faith rather than fleeting success, for the richer path lies ahead in nurturing connection and serving God through every choice we make. As David and Sarah wrapped up their heartfelt discussion, they felt a sense of urgency to challenge everyone watching to take action. It's one thing to reflect on these ideas, David said, but now it's time to put them into practice. He turned to the camera with a determined look. We want to invite you to join us on this journey of prioritizing God over money. Start by taking a moment to reflect on your own life, Sarah added. Ask yourself, what are the things that truly matter to me? Are my daily choices guiding me toward deeper relationships and spiritual fulfillment, or are they merely focused on financial gains? She encouraged viewers to think about the areas where they might be serving money instead of their values. David suggested that everyone consider making one actionable step this week that aligns more closely with serving God. It could be as simple as dedicating a few hours to volunteer at a local charity, helping a neighbor in need, or even reaching out to reconnect with someone you've lost touch with, he said. These small acts can create ripples of change not only in your life but also in the lives of others. Sarah chimed in with excitement, emphasizing the power of community. If you have friends or family who are also looking to make positive changes, involve them. You can start a small group focused on serving together or discussing your priorities. Sharing this journey can provide encouragement and accountability, she said. David then shared a personal story about how a simple commitment to volunteer at a community center transformed his perspective. I started volunteering just once a month, but it opened my eyes to the needs around me and brought joy into my life that I hadn't felt in a long time. It reminded me that true wealth is not measured in dollars but in the connections we create and the lives we touch. As they concluded their message, both David and Sarah urged viewers not to underestimate the impact of their choices. Every step you take toward serving God over money is a step toward a more fulfilling life, David said passionately. Remember, it's not about perfection, it's about progress. Let's support each other on this path. With heartfelt sincerity, Sarah added, together, we can inspire each other to live lives rooted in love and service. Let's embrace this call to action and make a difference, starting today. As the screen faded, they left viewers with an empowering reminder: you have the power to create change in your life and your community. Choose faith over fear, connection over isolation, and love over material pursuits. With that challenge in mind, they hope to inspire everyone to embark on their own journey toward a richer, more meaningful existence.